Coming up, a look at Caitlin Clark's record-breaking achievement.
Plus, a look into the first week of college baseball.
I'm Oliver Allen.
And I'm Joey Knese.
All this and so much more.
Rambler Sports Locker begins now.
Welcome back to another episode of Rambler Sports Locker. It appears Punxsutawney Phil was right after all, and as the weather heats up, so has the men's basketball team. They won their 6th straight game on Sunday.
Right you are, Oliver. I'm absolutely loving this warmer weather and loving the turnaround the men's basketball team has had in the A-10 play this year.
Speaking of Loyola sports, here is Vanesa Hoxha with your Rambler Rundown.
Thanks, guys. Well, Oliver, you're right about that. The men's basketball team is heating up. The Ramblers defeated Rhode Island 77-67 on the road, no pun intended, this past Sunday. Damon Delican and Philip Alston led the team with 21 points each. The Blurs are now 19-7 overall and 11-2 in A-10 play. They'll look to get their 7th consecutive win this weekend when they take on George Mason for the 2nd time this season on Saturday at Gentile Arena. Tip-off is set for 3:30. Men's volleyball was looking for revenge against Ball State last Saturday, but to no avail. Ball State took the first 2 sets. Loyola then fought back hard to win the next 2, but ultimately the Ramblers came up short, losing in the 5th set, 15-11. Stay tuned for more details later on in the episode. The team plans to shake off this loss as they travel to St. Charles, Missouri to play Lindenwood tonight and tomorrow at 7 p.m. The women's softball team played in the Bubbly Invitational in Gainesville, Florida last week. The team defeated the College of Charleston 4-0, but then lost to the Florida Gators 10-1 in 5 innings. The last 3 games of the invite were canceled due to weather, but the weather looks a little brighter for the softball team this weekend as they play in the Sunshine State once again in the USF tournament. The women's golf team is back in action this weekend. They play in the Rio Verde Invitational in Arizona today through Sunday. Lastly, the women's basketball team suffered its 3rd straight loss last Saturday at Richmond. The Spiders defeated the Ramblers 75-71. However, I was able to see their losing streak come to an end Wednesday night and got to see the Ramblers play for something bigger than basketball.
It just was a real emotional day to be able to celebrate and honor those who are currently fighting, to draw awareness, and there is a real possibility for us to find a cure to this.
Hope, strength, and courage. The words stamped on the front of the Ramblers' shirts with hashtag #PlayForK on the back as they warmed up for Loyola's annual Pink Game. Home court for the Ramblers became the center of unity as they faced UMass. Wednesday night, the team played for a cause bigger than basketball, a cause that affects millions worldwide. Last year in 2023, the National Breast Cancer Foundation estimated a little over 290,000 women were diagnosed with breast cancer, striking 1 in 8 individuals in the United States. This statistic resonates deeply with many, especially the Ramblers this season.
This year, on a personal note, we have Karen Mahaney, who is works at our front desk, is an extension of our coaching staff, meets and greets every men's and women's basketball player coming up through the hallways, and really serves as a team mom besides all of her administrative duties. And she's in her fight right now, was diagnosed earlier this year, has her 2nd surgery that's going to come up here in a couple weeks, but she's currently cancer-free after being diagnosed and going through her first surgery. And Karen's a great example. Again, we talked to our team about how are you dealt a certain card, how does adversity hit, and then what is your response to that? And if you look at a woman who attacked it with positivity, style, and grace, Karen is that woman.
Beyond this team, the whole Loyola community showed up in support of the annual Pink Game. A sea of pink as the Ramblers battled through the 4 quarters. The women were all playing for someone Wednesday night, and Gentile specifically honored 3 women who have overcome this disease. I spoke with breast cancer survivor Leslie Halverson, the aunt of freshman guard Audrey Deptula, about her fight and what tonight meant to her.
I was diagnosed in 2010. It was my first mammogram ever when I turned 40, so I highly recommend everybody to get screened. I was one of the fortunate ones that was discovered early. I went through the full surgery. I had a lumpectomy, chemo, radiation, and then I continued on with medications for another 8.5 years. It's so sweet to be honored. I'm really touched. It's part of my life, but it also touches your family, and I really appreciate everybody recognizing that we're all fighters.
Throughout the match, QR codes were posted on the big screens for fans to donate to the Keough Cancer Fund.
Tonight specifically, we were raising funds and awareness for the Keough Foundation. And for those who follow women's basketball, Keough was a legendary coach at North Carolina State who just was the epitome of success in the way that she battled when she was diagnosed and in the way she lived her life. When you hear stories about who she was, you're going to hear first and foremost just what type of human she was. And so I think the way she battled with her courage was such an example to people, everybody affected by this terrible disease, not just women and breast cancer, but just across the board, people who are fighting their battle.
In the post-game press conference, the lead scorers for the Ramblers spoke about what this game meant to them.
Yeah, we always say we're playing for something more than basketball, and so it was really cool to just play for all those who are battling and who have survived. So it just meant a lot, especially for Karen in our office, to play for her. That was really cool.
Yeah, there's been, so many people that we know who are affected by it, and Coach brought it up before the game, like Ali said, playing for something bigger than us, and I think we really felt it out on the court today.
The Ramblers ended their 3-game losing streak by defeating UMass at home 64-52, with Satori Tannen leading with 18 points and 7 rebounds, and Ali Bird with 16 points. Like Coach Guth said, the team played for something bigger tonight, for all the women battling breast cancer, and to raise money and awareness to find a cure to this disease. You can join the fight against cancer by donating to the Keough Cancer Fund at www.keough.com. Reporting from Gentile Arena, Vanesa Hoxha, Rambler Sports Locker.
Thanks, Vanessa. It's great to see the women's team get back on track. With the Olympics coming up this summer, a 3-time gold medalist is eyeing a return. Here's Kirstan Richardson with the story.
Gabby Douglas is returning to competitive gymnastics. If you're a die-hard gymnastics fan, then you knew this day was coming. Back in 2022, she posted a photo of herself training at a new gym. Douglas talked about how much she missed competition, saying, quote, "My life has never been smooth or easy. I have carried a heavy weight on my back for quite some time, and it had weighed me down physically, mentally, and emotionally," end quote. A year later, Douglas announced her return to gymnastics, saying, quote, "I wanted to find the joy again for the sport that I absolutely love doing." Douglas competed at the London Olympics in 2012, where she won 2 gold medals, including the all-around competition, becoming the first African-American woman to do so. 4 years later, she competed at the Rio Olympics and helped Team USA repeat a gold medal in the team competition. It's been 8 years since Douglas last competed, but people can't wait to see what she has in store. She started to post more videos of her training and says she's going to compete in all 4 apparatus, including the uneven bars, which is her strongest. Her first competition back will be the Winter Cup in Louisville, Kentucky this Saturday. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Kirstan Richardson.
Thanks, Kirstan. Speaking of returning star athletes, Connor Bedard is back from his injury. Here's Natalie with the story.
The Blackhawks star rookie Connor Bedard made his return last Thursday after missing 6 weeks with a fractured jaw. Bedard has picked up right where he left off with 2 goals and 4 assists in his first 3 games back. In his second game back on Saturday, Bedard had a goal and an assist, helping the Blackhawks get a 3-2 win over the Ottawa Senators. The win against the Senators ended an 8-game losing streak. Bedard's 2 assists in Monday night's game were not quite enough to secure a win over the Carolina Hurricanes, with the Blackhawks losing 6-3. Bedard leads the NHL rookies in points so far this season, even after he was out of action for so long, with 36 in 41 games. Despite Bedard's success, the Blackhawks currently sit at last in the NHL standings with a record of 15, 37, and 3. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Natalie King.
Thanks, Natalie. Even as a Blues fan myself, it's great to have a talent like Bedard back out there. Loyola men's volleyball has had an excellent season, currently ranked at 10th in the country, but they went up against a tough opponent this past Saturday. Joey?
You are exactly right, Oliver. The men's volleyball team has been playing really well this season, especially against some of the best teams in the country, but that ended up falling short this past weekend. The Ramblers fell to 9th-ranked Ball State 3-2 last Saturday. Ball State nearly took the game in 3 sets before Ramblers come back in the third. Loyola dominated the 4th set, holding the Cardinals to a 185 hitting percentage. Unfortunately, Ball State regained momentum and took home the 5th set 15-11. Coach John Hoxha credited Loyola's mid-match comeback to substitutions.
Yeah, there was a lot of change. 5 guys. So I brought in Ben, and Ben got his first start. And Dan, Miller, Jack, Colton. Maybe I would have done more, but I felt like 5 guys was enough.
Loyola's record drops to 8-7 overall and 3-2 in conference play. Up next for the Ramblers are back-to-back matches at Lindenwood tonight and tomorrow.
A tough loss, but I am confident the Ramblers will rebound against Lindenwood. Speaking of rebounds, let's shift our focus to the basketball court, as history was made recently in the women's college basketball world, and William Bazzone's got the story.
That's right, Oliver. Last Thursday, Caitlin Clark of the University of Iowa broke the all-time Division I women's scoring record, previously held by Las Vegas Aces star Kelsey Plum. In typical Clark fashion, she scored the Hawkeyes' first 8 points of the contest, and with 7:48 remaining in the first quarter, she pulled up from the O in the Mediacom Center logo and drained her 3,526th, 27th, and 28th points. As she put it after the game, quote, "You all knew I was going to shoot a logo 3 for the record." The senior guard finished the evening with a career-high 49 points on 16 of 31 shooting. Unreal. It rivals her performance against Loyola in December, where she put up a triple-double of 35 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists. Now that Clark holds the scoring record and stands as the consensus #1 pick in this year's WNBA draft, all she needs to do is check off a national championship off her bucket list. The Hawkeyes currently sit at #4 in the AP poll and look to make another deep tournament run in March. William Bazzone for Rambler Sports Locker.
Thanks, William. Caitlin has been absolutely on fire recently, and it'll be exciting to see what she does when she begins her professional career. Now, Oliver, would you consider to be the GOAT of women's basketball?
Definitely. And I think setting the record just solidifies that spot for her. And I wish her the best the rest of the season. And as William mentioned, us Loyola fans witnessed just how talented she is when the teams met in December.
After watching her drop a triple-double against the Ramblers, it's hard to argue that she isn't the GOAT. Moving on to college baseball, here's Taylor with some recaps of key games from this past week.
College baseball season is in full swing as of last Friday. A record-breaking crowd of 3,514 people at David F. Couch Ballpark witnessed a Wake Forest victory against Fordham by a score of 9-3. The Demon Deacons are sure living up to their preseason hype. The opening of the season also served Arkansas a loss against James Madison. A 2-2 tie was broken by 4 seventh-inning runs. James Madison player Fenwick Trimble was the star of the show after an RBI single-pass shortstop that ended the game. Defending NCAA champions, the LSU Tigers started off their season with a blowout win against the Virginia Military Institute by a score of 27-5. It will be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out for these MLB prospects. The Loyola softball team has also been on the grind since the start of their season on February 9th. With a record of 5-1, our Ramblers are off to a hot start. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Taylor Zeelenbach.
Thanks, Taylor. All this nice weather has me ready for baseball season to begin. And with that wraps up this episode of Rambler Sports Locker.
To stay up to date on all things Rambler Sports Locker, be sure to follow us on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Loyola RSL, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
From all of us here at Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Oliver Allen.
And I'm Joey Knese.
We'll see you next week, and don't forget to turn off the lights.